Amazing Grace, come sit on my face. Don't make me cry, I need your pie.
John Carpenter and I agreed to write Halloween 2 and produce it. And we wanted it to be a continuation of the night. And it was very difficult for that movie to be fully realized because not until after we were in the midst of shooting it, we realized we had the lead character of Laurie Strode comatose in a bed. She was not proactive, and it really didn't work, in my opinion.
I will say that what got me through writing that script was Budweiser, 6-pack of beer a night, sitting in front of the typewriter saying, what in the hell can I put down? I have no idea. We're remaking the same film, only not as good.
After the massive success of the first film, you would think that the co-writer and director would want to make another one, right?
Once you had done Halloween, were you at all tempted to say, no more Halloween? Well, I said that for quite a while. And there are two sides to one when you work in the movie business. One is as an artist, or you think of yourself as a creative person. And the other side is a business person. I let my producer side come out when they offered me the sequels to Halloween. They offered a nice sum of money, and I also had a lot of hope for giving new directors a chance to make films as I had been given a chance with low-budget films. The directors who did 2 and 3, Rick Rosenthal and Tommy Wallace, what they were given was a budget, and in some cases a script. And, okay, here are the rules. If you're going to make your movie, then nobody's going to bother you. It doesn't always work. I thought Halloween 3 was excellent. I really like that film because it's different. It has a real nice feel to it. I think it was a talented director. On the other hand, I think Halloween 2 is an abomination and a horrible movie. I was really disappointed in it. Yeah. But I don't think the director has gone on and done some other films. I think his career is launched now. But I don't think he had a feel for the material. I think that's the problem. He didn't have a feeling for what was going on, and that is vital.
Well, this is awkward.
From struggling to write the script to having issues with the director, there were so many reasons why John Carpenter hated this movie so much and why he didn't want to return to the franchise that essentially made him a household name. But me, on the other hand, I love the entire Halloween franchise, and I first did a recap of the original 1978 Halloween, and you can check that out on my channel if you would like. But today, we're jumping into the sequel that almost never was. Halloween 2, the sequel that almost got killed off. The film opens up on the same night as the first film, leaving off where we left behind with Loomis shooting Michael off the balcony and realizing that Michael's gone and has escaped.
Oh, hell no, I'm out of here.
Then the neighbor comes out asking what happened, like he didn't hear Laurie and the kids screaming for help just a few minutes ago.
Man, please help me! Please! Can't you hear me? Oh, God!
But you know what? I'm gonna give him a pass because I ain't gonna lie, I would've did the same. So FYI, if you ever screaming and crying for help in the middle of the night, don't come to my house, cause I'm gonna act like I don't hear you, alright? Anyways, Dr. Loomis tells him to call the police. Then we cut to this banger intro. I like how they jazzed up the beat some. They gave it a retro 80s makeover. We're now walking through Haddonfield through Michael's POV. He shows up to this old couple's house, and I remember my first time watching this, I was like, ah man, Michael about to kill this old ass couple. I mean, yeah, they was probably already about to die soon, but man, I'm pretty sure this ain't how they imagined their death. Like, Michael, please leave them alone. But surprisingly, he lets them live, and all he do is steal a knife and leave a little blood.
There's one of them now.
He'll hear you.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of it.
She might want to get that cleaned up and disinfected.
Brother,
Now that Michael has his weapon of choice, he goes next door and spots his next victim, Alice. She's on the phone talking to her friend who informs her about the recent murders that have taken place. Alice then turns up the radio because you know they ain't have Instagram or Twitter back then to keep them updated on the latest news. And while she's doing that, we see Michael creeping in the house.
And the police have cordoned off the entire area. To repeat, 3 teenagers have been found murdered in a house in the northwest section of Haddonfield.
No, we probably knew her.
Where'd it happen?
Down on Orange Grove.
That's right down the street.
I know.
After hearing the location of the murders, Alice realizes that that's just down the street from her house. She then hears a noise and turns around and sees the door wide open. And instead of running out the back door or picking up a weapon, she says this.
Who is it?
Alice, where are you?
Girl, you just heard on the radio that a killer is on the loose on the same street as you. Then you turn around and see your door wide open and you got the nerve to talk about some damn who is it? Yo, when they be saying this in the movies, what do they expect the killer to say? Like, oh, it's me, the killer. Man, if you don't get your ass out the house, then she does the next stupidest move, which is walk to the door, and of course she gets got. We cut to Laurie being carried out of the house into the ambulance so that they can get her to the hospital to get her treated. It's here where we get introduced to Jimmy. We'll learn more about him later. Once they get Laurie into the hospital, the doctors put her to sleep, much against Laurie's wishes. And I get why she didn't want to get put to sleep. She know Michael's still on the loose and she ain't gonna be able to run if she sleep. But on the flip side of that, if he find her and she already sedated, then she won't feel nothing. So that's kind of a win, right? Anyways, now we see Dr. Loomis and Sheriff Brackett patrolling the city looking for Michael when they spot him, or so they think they do.
Look out, slow down. What? Over there, look. Run, go on, run. Loomis, get back. Stop.
Now, Dr. Loomis, you know damn well Michael ain't never had no blonde hair. Well, there was that one scene in Halloween 4, but we ain't on that film yet. After they get this random person killed, one of the officers comes and lets Sheriff Brackett know that his daughter was one of the teenagers killed by Michael.
3 kids. One of them was Annie.
And if you don't know who Annie is, go back and watch my Halloween 1978 recap. So they head out and just leave the murder scene that they created. Like, this man is literally burning to death and nobody give a fuck. We cut to Laurie in her bed when she's visited by Jimmy. They have a cute little moment that gets interrupted by the cop blocking nurse.
Hi.
I'm gonna cook.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Come on, Jimmy, we gotta roll another Coke in me.
Okay.
Come on.
Get you that Coke later.
Out.
Fun sucker. Oh.
So after fleeing the murder scene, Loomis and Brackett go to see his daughter, and he confirms her death and has the nerve to blame it on Loomis.
Damn you.
Sorry.
What have you done?
I haven't done anything. You let him out! I didn't let him out. I gave orders for him to be restrained.
Loomis then hits him with one of his famous monologues.
It became an obsession with me until I realized that there was nothing within him, neither conscience nor reason, that wasn't even remotely human.
We then cut to Michael making his way down to the hospital, ready to fuck some shit up. We get a few POV shots of him in the hospital before cutting to Laurie and Jimmy, and this is where Jimmy tells her that the man who was trying to kill her was Michael Myers.
They should have handled it more carefully.
Who?
Michael Myers.
Michael Myers.
Then the cop blocking nurse pops back up and tells her that her parents can't be reached. And side note, we never got an update on her parents, so I'm pretty sure that they're dead, and it was likely Michael who did it because who else? Now we see this weak ass security guard supposedly checking the property, and I say supposedly because he ain't securing shit. Michael take this man out without breaking a sweat. Damn, I know that had to hurt. We cut to Loomis and Brackett checking out the body of an old boy who they left burning. And I'm really not over that. They didn't even try to help the man. They just let him burn and dip. Tragic. RIP to him. So the specialist says that the person has to be between 17 and 18, and Loomis says that Michael is 21. So they assume that Michael is still alive, even though we, the audience, already know that he's still alive. So the sheriff makes a request to send the officers back to town to find Michael. Loomis and Brackett head back to town as well, and we see that the people are not happy and are damaging the Myers house. But my only question would be is, where were all these people when Laurie was out screaming for her life?
Man, please help me! Please! Can't you hear me? Oh, God!
They was nowhere to be found. They was pretending to be asleep. I'm catching that game. The people of Haddonfield ain't slick. It's here where we found out that the person that was run over, or should I say, the person that was hinting that was run over, was Ben Tramer.
Yeah, what is it, Craig?
Yeah, I'm worried about Bennett Tramer. He isn't home yet. Yeah, and he left the party at 10.
How old is he?
17. He had this stupid mask on.
If you don't know who Ben Tramer is, he's the guy that Laurie had a crush on in the first film. And well, he was crushed on this film.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Now we're back in the hospital and we see two of the staff, Janet and Bud, fornicating on the job. And that rough ass hospital bed don't have enough room for them, so they take it downstairs to the hot tub. And while they're getting it in, Michael creeps his way down there too and turns the heat up. So Bud goes to turn it down and is attacked by Michael. After he finishes off Bud, Michael goes to Janet, who thinks that he's Bud.
Forget it, Bud. I have to go back to work. I'm sorry.
Now Janet, you kissing all up on this man's hand and I know it smell like ass. I know it stink. She kissing all up on it. I know she had to smell that. But either way, Michael gets her too and her death is much worse than Bud's.
Now, Bud, don't be that way.
We then go back to Loomis, who is pulled to the side by Nurse Marion. You may remember her from the first film. She says that the government has ordered him to leave Haddonfield and go back to Smith's Grove.
Tell him you couldn't find me. Tell him anything. I can't leave Haddonfield now.
I'm afraid you don't have a choice. There's a marshal waiting for you outside.
A marshal? They doing all that for Loomis like he the killer, but where is this energy from Michael? He's still on the loose, out and killing, having a good old time. Back at the hospital, we see Jimmy checking up on Laurie and he notices that she's unresponsive, so he calls the nurse. And after the nurse checks up on her, she rushes to get the doctor and finds old boy dead. And she can't even run to get help because Michael is right behind her. After noticing that the nurse has been gone for a little too long, Jimmy goes to find her, but instead finds his ass knocked out when he slips on some blood after finding one of the nurses dead. But he ain't the only one falling for the mumbo jumbo because Michael goes to Laurie's room to kill her, but instead all he does is cut up some pillows. Turns out Laurie woke up and managed to escape, but she wasn't free for too long because she's spotted by a nurse who blows Laurie's cover and gets herself killed. Man, after Laurie saw that adrenaline kicked in like a mother sucker, and we get a nice little chase scene. Laurie manages to make it out of the hospital and into one of the cars and hides there. We then cut back to Loomis and Marion, and this is where Marion tells Loomis that Laurie and Michael are related.
That girl, that Strode girl, that's Michael Myers' sister. She was born 2 years before he was committed. 2 years after, his parents died and she was adopted by the Strodes.
And I remember my first time watching this, I was like, what? They're related? Then why is he trying to kill her? I mean, yeah, he killed his other sister, but does he want to be an only child that bad? Is it that serious, Michael? Huh?
Answer me. Michael! Michael! Answer me!
Loomis orders the marshal to head back to Haddonfield, and then we cut back to Laurie hiding in the car when Jimmy enters and is clearly still suffering from his injuries because he passes out on the car horn and causes a big commotion when Laurie's trying to hide.
We're gonna get out of here.
Now this is the second time that don't happen. First it was the nurse blowing her cover. Now Jimmy, if y'all are working with Michael on the low, just say that. Laurie pushes him off the horn and gets out of the car and sees Loomis them pulling up to the hospital. She tries to call them, but they don't hear her. But the person that does hear her is Michael. This gives her some more adrenaline and she rushes to the door and Loomis lets her inside. And Michael robotic ass just walks right through the glass like it's nothing. So Loomis shoots him. With Michael down, Loomis tells Marion to go call for help, and he specifically tells the marshal don't touch Michael. And guess what dumbass do? Get his ass killed.
Get away from him! But he stopped breathing! No!
Now we see Michael chasing Laurie and Loomis into a room. Loomis tries to shoot him, but he gets stabbed. He then makes his way towards Laurie and she shoots him right in the face, and you would have thought that this would have been enough. But oh hell nah, this man is on a mission and he's trying to kill her with all his might by any means necessary. But then Loomis comes up with the bright idea to release some oxygen gas. He then tells Laurie to leave and lights the lighter, and this kills Loomis and Michael. Okay, now Michael is dead. Well, even though we already know that he's not dead. The movie ends with Laurie being taken away in the hospital. And depending on which version you watch, you may see our homeboy Jimmy in the ending of the TV version. If I take away anything from this film, it's that if a serial killer is on the loose and you at a hospital, you might as well say your final goodbyes to your family and loved ones, because these hospitals ain't never secure in any of the scary movies I've watched. Also, I loved how this sequel was just a continuation of the first film on the same night. Watching this and the first film together feels like one long movie. It's hard to believe that John Carpenter didn't want to do it and didn't like this movie, because I thoroughly enjoyed it and have watched it a number of times. But I get he wanted Michael Myers to be a one-off, but I'm glad he wasn't, and I'm glad that there's more Michael to come. And that's my recap of Halloween 2, 1981. I hope you enjoyed this recap, and I would really appreciate it if you gave me a like and subscribe. And until next time, peace.